anxiety is something we all kind of deal with, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that that feeling of worry and unease
Oh, for sure.
can really kind of, throw a wrench in things.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you had some tools that you could use, like right when the stress hit,
Yeah.
to help you find some calm
Yeah.
in those moments?
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be diving into today.
Awesome.
Is some really practical techniques
Practical.
you can use anytime, anywhere to really manage those anxious moments.
I love it.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about this.
Me too.
So,
One thing I think it's important to remember is
yeah.
that a little anxiety is actually normal.
Okay.
And it can even be helpful.
Yeah.
It's our brain's way of kind of keeping us alert
Yeah.
to potential threats in our environment.
That's right.
But when those feelings start to spiral,
Yeah.
that's when we need some strategies to kind of regain control.
Yeah. And, and the good news is there's some really great techniques that are very simple to learn
Oh, yeah.
and use. And so today we're going to unpack 3 of them.
Awesome.
We're going to be talking about grounding techniques,
Great.
controlled breathing, and mindful visualization.
Wonderful.
And the best part is you can use these.
Yeah.
Whether you're about to give a presentation or having some tough conversation or you're just feeling super overwhelmed by your to-do list.
Yes.
They're just great tools to have.
I love it. It's like having a mental toolkit.
Yeah, mental toolkit.
For managing stress.
Yes.
These techniques are like trusty tools.
Yes.
You can pull out whenever you need them. It's awesome.
So let's start with grounding techniques.
Okay, let's do it.
So imagine you're feeling like that wave of anxiety just kind of washing over you.
Yeah.
Grounding techniques are kind of like hitting the pause button
I love that.
and reconnecting with the present moment.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah, it's about shifting your focus away from,
yeah,
those racing thoughts and worries
yeah,
and just tuning into your senses.
right.
So a really simple but powerful example of this is the 5-4-3-2-1 method.
Okay.
And so this involves identifying 5 things that you can see,
Okay.
4 things that you can touch,
Okay.
3 things that you can hear,
Okay.
2 things that you can smell,
Okay.
and 1 thing that you can taste.
Got it. Okay.
So it's really bringing in all of your senses.
Yeah, so I actually used this once before a big meeting.
Okay.
I was so nervous.
Yeah.
I could barely think straight.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got to do something. And I remembered this technique.
Right.
And so I just started listing off things in the room.
That's great.
The texture of the chair, the hum of the air conditioner,
Mm-hmm.
the scent of someone's coffee.
Oh, I love that.
It sounds so silly, but it totally shifted my focus
Yeah.
and really calmed me down.
That's awesome. I love that. And
Huh?
what's fascinating is that this works by tapping into the way our
Yeah.
brains actually process information.
Yeah.
So by consciously engaging your senses,
Yeah.
you're giving your brain
Right.
a new input to focus on,
Yeah.
which helps to interrupt that cycle of anxious thoughts.
Yeah. So you're basically giving your brain like a distraction,
Exactly.
but in a good way.
A good distraction, yeah.
And it's backed by science, too.
Oh, absolutely. The National Institute of Mental Health actually recognizes
Okay.
sensory-based exercises like this as being effective for managing anxiety.
That's great. So next time you feel that anxiety creeping in,
Yes,
remember the 5-4-3-2-1 method. It's like a quick reset button
it is.
for your mind. Now let's move on to another powerful tool,
All right.
controlled breathing.
Awesome.
Have you ever noticed how your breath changes when you're stressed?
Oh, yeah.
Like gets all shallow and rapid?
Absolutely.
And it's almost like you're not even breathing enough.
Yeah. And you might even notice that your chest feels tight.
Yeah.
Or like you're having trouble getting a full breath.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very common physical symptom of anxiety.
Right. And so,
And that's your body's fight or flight response kicking in.
oh, okay.
It's preparing you to either face a threat or run away from it.
Right.
But in most everyday situations,
Yeah.
we're not actually in any real danger.
Right.
It's just our brains misinterpreting the stress as a threat.
So how can we tell our bodies to just like chill out?
That's a great question. And that's where controlled breathing comes in.
Okay.
By consciously changing the way that you breathe,
Yeah.
you can actually regulate your nervous system
Oh, wow.
and tell your body, hey, we're safe, we can relax.
I love the idea of like taking charge of your physiology like that.
It's empowering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we do it? How do we actually do controlled breathing?
Well, one popular and effective technique is called the 4-7-8 breathing method.
Okay.
It was developed by Dr. Andrew Weil, and it's so simple you can do it anywhere.
Okay.
You simply inhale deeply through your nose
Okay.
for a count of 4.
Okay.
Hold your breath for a count of 7.
Okay.
And then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8.
Got it.
Let's try it together.
I'm ready.
I'll guide you.
Okay.
So if you'd like, you can close your eyes.
Okay.
Just become aware of your breath and how
Yeah.
your body's feeling right now.
Yeah.
Now, inhale slowly and deeply through your nose for a count of 4.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Hold your breath for a count of 7.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
And now exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for a count of 8.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Wow.
Repeat that a couple more times.
Right.
Just focus on the rhythm of your breath.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Even after just a few rounds, I feel calmer.
Yeah.
My heart rate has definitely slowed down.
You know what's really interesting is that by doing this type of slow, controlled breathing,
Yeah.
you're tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system,
Okay.
which is responsible for calming your body down.
Yeah.
So you're essentially hitting the override button on
Yeah.
your stress response.
I love that.
And the more you practice this technique,
Yeah.
the easier it becomes to access that sense of calm whenever you need it.
Okay. I'm definitely adding this to my anxiety toolkit.
It's a powerful tool to have.
It is.
And the great thing is
Yeah.
you can use it in conjunction with other techniques.
Okay.
Like the grounding technique we discussed earlier.
Right.
You can layer these tools
Yeah, that's great.
to create an even more powerful effect.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, now that we've explored kind of how to ground ourselves
Yeah.
and calm our physical responses,
Right.
let's move into the realm of the mind
Okay.
with our third technique,
Okay.
mindful visualization.
This one sounds intriguing. I've heard of athletes using visualization to improve their performance,
Yeah.
but I never really considered using it for anxiety.
It's incredibly effective for anxiety, too.
Okay.
So mindful visualization essentially involves using your imagination
Okay.
to create a peaceful, safe space in your mind.
Yeah.
Think of it as your personal mental escape route
Okay.
from stressful situations.
Okay. I'm all for having an escape route from stress.
Right?
So how does it work?
It starts by choosing a scene that evokes feelings of calm and relaxation for you.
Okay.
Maybe it's a quiet beach you've visited,
Yeah.
a serene forest,
Yeah.
or even a cozy room in your own home.
Okay.
The key is to make it as vivid and detailed as possible.
So it's not just like picturing a beach.
Right.
It's like really immersing yourself in that scene,
Exactly.
using all your senses.
Yes.
Like, what does the sand feel like beneath your feet?
Yes.
What sounds do you hear?
Yes.
Can you smell the salt air?
Exactly.
Or the scent of pine needles?
The more senses you engage,
Yeah.
the more effectively you can transport yourself
Right.
to that calming space
Yeah.
and away from those anxious thoughts.
Right,
It's like hitting the pause button on your stress response.
You know, this reminds me of something I read in an article
Okay.
from MD Anderson Cancer Center
Okay.
about anxiety hacks.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how, like, describing emotions or situations verbally
Right.
can actually help to calm the brain down
Yeah.
because it engages the prefrontal cortex,
That's right.
which is involved in logical thinking and decision-making.
That's a fantastic point, and that absolutely applies to visualization.
Yeah.
So by describing that peaceful scene in your mind,
Yeah.
you're essentially using that same verbal processing power
Yeah.
to soothe your emotional centers.
Interesting.
You're basically talking your brain into a more relaxed state.
So it's like we're using language and imagery
Exactly.
to rewire our brains.
Yes.
Toward of calmness. I love that.
Yeah.
Could we try a quick visualization exercise together now?
Absolutely. Are you ready for a mini vacation
Lead the way.
for your mind?
I could use a mental getaway right about now.
All right.
Yeah.
So close your eyes if you feel comfortable.
Okay.
And just allow yourself to relax.
Mm-hmm.
Take a few deep breaths.
Okay.
Inhaling slowly through your nose
Yeah.
and exhaling gently through your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Now picture yourself walking along a tranquil beach.
Okay.
Feel the warm sand beneath your feet,
Mm-hmm.
the gentle breeze against your skin,
Yeah.
and the sun warming your face.
I can hear the waves lapping gently on the shore.
Wonderful. Notice the vast blue sky above you.
Okay.
Maybe a few seagulls soaring overhead.
Yeah?
What colors do you see?
Right.
What scents do you notice?
Yeah.
Really take a moment to soak it all in,
Mm.
letting go of any tension or worries.
Yeah.
Just be present in this peaceful moment.
I feel so relaxed already.
Now remember, you can return to this mental sanctuary.
Yeah.
Or any other calming scene that you create.
Okay.
Whenever you feel those anxious feelings, start to creep up.
Okay.
It's always there for you,
Right.
waiting to offer a sense of peace and grounding.
This has been amazing. We've covered 3 fantastic techniques today.
Yes.
Grounding, controlled breathing, and mindful visualization.
They're so good.
What I love is that they're all so simple,
Right.
yet so powerful.
And accessible.
Yeah.
You don't need any fancy equipment or
Yes.
years of training to use these techniques.
Right.
They're tools you can carry with you and
Yeah.
utilize whenever you need them.
It's really empowering to realize that we have so much more control over our anxiety
Yeah.
than we often think.
Absolutely. It's about shifting from being a passive recipient of
Yeah.
anxiety to becoming an active participant in managing it.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's interesting to consider
Yeah.
how these techniques work on different levels.
Yeah.
Like grounding connects us to our physical surroundings.
Yes.
Breathing regulates our physiological response.
Mm-hmm.
And visualization taps into the power of our minds.
Exactly.
It's like a holistic approach
Yeah.
to managing anxiety, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And that's what makes them so effective. They
Yeah.
address anxiety from multiple angles,
Yeah.
helping us to regain a sense of balance and calm.
Right.
It's not about eliminating anxiety altogether,
Right.
but rather learning to navigate
Yeah.
those anxious moments
Right.
with more skill and ease.
Like you said earlier, it's about having a toolkit
Exactly.
of techniques to use
Yeah.
whenever
Okay.
that wave of anxiety hits.
And the beauty of it is
Yeah.
that these techniques can be personalized
Yeah.
to fit your individual needs and preferences.
Right.
You can adapt them to what feels most comfortable and effective for you.
So, for example, if holding your breath for the full 7 counts in the 4-7-8 breathing technique
Yeah.
feels too intense,
Yeah.
you can shorten the counts
Right.
until you find a rhythm that works for you.
That's right. Or if you find the traditional 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique
Yeah.
a little overwhelming,
Yeah.
you could simplify it
Yeah.
by just focusing on 1 or 2 senses.
It's all about finding what works best for you
Exactly.
and experimenting with different techniques
Yes.
until you find what resonates.
I think that's such an important point.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to managing anxiety.
Right.
We all experience it differently,
Yeah.
and what works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
So it's really about honoring your own individual experience
Yeah.
and finding what works best for you.
It's about becoming your own anxiety expert,
I love that.
understanding what triggers you,
Yes.
and developing a personalized toolkit of strategies
Mhm.
that help you to feel more grounded,
Yes.
calm, and in control.
Becoming your own anxiety expert.
Yes.
It's about taking ownership of your mental well-being and empowering yourself to navigate life's challenges
Right.
with greater ease and resilience.
And speaking of resilience,
Yes.
I think it's worth emphasizing
Yeah.
that these techniques aren't just for managing those big, overwhelming moments of anxiety.
That's right.
They can also be integrated
Yeah.
into our daily routine
Absolutely.
to help us cultivate a greater sense of calm and well-being overall.
That's such an important point. It's like building a foundation
Yeah.
of inner peace
Yeah.
that can help us navigate
Right.
the ups and downs of life
Yeah.
with more grace and resilience.
Exactly. Imagine starting your day
Yeah.
with a few minutes of mindful breathing
Mm-hmm.
or ending your day
Yeah.
with a relaxing visualization practice.
Absolutely.
Over time,
Yeah.
these small acts of self-care
Right.
can make a profound difference
Yes.
in how we experience the world.
It's about shifting from a reactive mode
Yeah.
to a proactive mode.
Right.
Instead of waiting for anxiety to strike,
Yeah.
we're actively cultivating inner peace and equipping ourselves to handle
Yeah.
whatever challenges come our way.
That's a really empowering message, isn't it?
It is.
That we have the power
Yeah,
to shape our own inner landscape
we do.
and create a more peaceful
Absolutely.
and fulfilling experience of life.
And the more we practice these techniques,
Right.
the more natural and effortless they become.
Right.
It's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
The more we use it,
Yeah.
the stronger it gets.
We've talked a lot about the mental and emotional benefits
Yeah.
of these techniques,
Mhm.
but I'm curious, are there any physical benefits as well?
You know, that's a great question, and the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay.
Research has shown that managing stress and anxiety
Yeah.
through techniques like these can have a positive impact on our physical health as well.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. When we're chronically stressed, our bodies release hormones
Yeah.
like cortisol and adrenaline, which can, over time,
Yeah.
lead to a whole host of problems
Yeah.
like high blood pressure,
Right.
weakened immunity,
Yeah.
and even digestive issues.
So by managing our stress levels
Exactly.
through techniques like controlled breathing and visualization,
Right.
we're essentially giving our bodies a break
Yes.
from those harmful stress hormones.
Exactly. And in turn, that can lead to improvements
Okay.
in sleep quality,
Yeah.
reduced inflammation,
Mm-hmm.
and even a boost in our overall energy levels.
Wow. So these techniques really are a win-win
They are.
for both our mental and physical well-being.
Absolutely. It's all connected.
Right.
When we feel good mentally and emotionally,
Yeah.
our physical health tends to follow suit.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And it makes me even more motivated to incorporate these techniques
Yeah.
into my daily routine.
I encourage you to. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
a huge time commitment.
Right.
Even just a few minutes each day
Right.
can make a significant difference.
You know, as we've been talking about these techniques,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about how they can be applied
Yeah.
in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can totally see myself using the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method
Yes.
before a big presentation
Yeah.
or a job interview
Absolutely.
to calm those pre-performance jitters.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
It's a quick and easy way to bring yourself back to the present moment
Yeah.
and ground yourself when you're feeling anxious.
And the 4-7-8 breathing technique seems perfect for those moments.
Yes.
When you feel like a panic attack coming on or when you're just feeling overwhelmed by stress.
You're exactly right. It's incredibly effective at short-circuiting
Right.
those intense physiological responses
Yeah.
that often accompany panic and anxiety.
And visualization, I can see that being super helpful for dealing with insomnia
Yeah.
or like racing thoughts at night.
Absolutely. It's a great way to quiet the mind
Right.
and prepare for a restful night's sleep.
What's so great is that these techniques aren't just for managing
Right.
those like big overwhelming moments.
Yeah.
They can also be woven into our everyday lives
Absolutely.
to create a more peaceful and grounded experience.
I agree. It's like we're building a shield of resilience against stress
Yeah.
by practicing these techniques regularly.
Now, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier
Okay.
about how these techniques can be personalized.
Yes.
Can you give our listeners a few more examples
Sure.
of how they might adapt these techniques
Yeah.
to fit their own needs and preferences?
Absolutely. One way to personalize grounding is to focus on the senses
Okay.
that are most calming for you.
Hmm.
If you find visual input overwhelming, for example,
Right.
maybe you just focus on sounds and textures.
Right.
Or perhaps you create a grounding object
Oh, okay.
that you keep with you
Yeah.
and can touch whenever you need to feel grounded.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
What about breathing techniques?
Yeah.
How can those be personalized?
Well, as we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
you can adjust the counts in the 4-7-8 technique
Right.
to make it more comfortable.
Right.
Or maybe you find that a different breathing pattern works better for you.
Okay.
Some people find that box breathing,
Yeah.
which involves inhaling,
Okay.
holding, exhaling,
Yeah.
and holding for equal counts,
Okay.
is particularly calming.
That's good. And with visualization,
Yeah.
are there ways to make that more personal?
Of course. Maybe instead of picturing a beach,
Yeah.
you visualize a favorite childhood memory,
Okay.
a place you dream of visiting,
Yeah.
or even a scene from a beloved book or movie.
You know, it's fascinating to consider
Yeah.
that everyone's anxiety toolkit
Right.
might look a little different
Exactly.
depending on their individual needs and preferences.
It's true.
Yeah.
The key is to experiment. Explore and find what works best for you.
What a great message to end on.
Yeah.
But before we move on,
Okay.
I want to encourage everyone listening
Yeah.
to continue this conversation in their own lives.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to dive deeper into these techniques,
Yeah.
to experiment,
Yes.
to adapt,
Yes.
and to share what you've learned with others.
Well said. Remember,
Yeah.
even small steps
Yeah.
can lead to big changes when it
Yeah.
comes to managing anxiety.
Now that we've explored these empowering techniques,
Yeah.
I'm eager to hear your thoughts on how consistently practicing them can impact our relationship with anxiety over time.
You know, it's really quite remarkable
Yeah.
how consistently using these techniques
Yeah.
can reshape the way our brains respond to stress.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about managing anxiety in the moment,
Right.
but potentially rewiring our neural pathways
Wow.
to be more resilient in the face of challenges.
That's fascinating. Could you explain how that works?
Of course. Imagine your brain like a garden.
Okay.
Every time you experience anxiety. It's like a weed sprouting up.
Okay.
But when you use these techniques,
Yeah.
it's like you're pulling those weeds
Right.
and planting beautiful flowers in their place.
I love that analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So by consistently practicing grounding,
Yes.
breathing exercises, and visualization,
Mm-hmm.
we're essentially cultivating a more peaceful
Exactly.
and resilient inner landscape.
Precisely. And the more we nurture
Yeah.
that inner landscape, the
Man.
less space there is for those anxiety weeds to take root.
That's such a hopeful and
Yeah.
empowering message.
It is.
It means that we're not at the mercy of our anxiety.
We're not.
We have the power
Yeah.
to cultivate calmness and resilience within ourselves.
We absolutely do. And that's something worth celebrating.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation.
It has.
But before we move on to our final thoughts,
Okay.
I'd love to touch on something that I think is particularly relevant
Okay.
to our listeners.
I'm all ears.
So we've talked a lot about how these techniques can help us manage anxiety,
Yes.
but I'm curious to hear your thoughts
Okay.
on how they can benefit our overall well-being
Mm-hmm.
beyond just reducing stress.
That's a fantastic question. And the truth is,
Yeah.
the benefits of these techniques extend
Yeah.
far beyond just managing anxiety.
Yeah.
They can have a profound impact
Okay.
on our physical health,
Mm-hmm.
our relationships,
Yeah.
and even our overall sense of purpose and meaning in life.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
of course. Let's start with physical health,
Okay.
as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Chronic stress can wreak havoc on our bodies,
Yeah.
but when we learn to manage stress effectively,
Yeah.
we give our bodies a chance to heal and thrive.
Right.
This can translate into better sleep, improved digestion,
Mm-hmm.
a stronger immune system,
Yeah.
and even a reduced risk of chronic diseases.
So these techniques aren't just good for our minds.
Right?
They're good for our bodies as well.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Yeah.
Our mental, emotional, and physical well-being are all intertwined.
What about relationships?
Yes.
How can these techniques benefit our interactions with others?
Well, when we're less anxious and stressed,
Yeah.
we're naturally more present,
Yeah.
patient, and compassionate
Mhm.
in our interactions with others.
You're right.
We're better able to listen attentively,
Yeah.
to empathize with their perspectives,
Right.
and to respond with kindness and understanding.
That makes a lot of sense. And when we're more grounded
Yeah.
and present,
Yes.
we're also less likely to react impulsively
Right?
or say things we regret.
Exactly. So these techniques can not only help us to manage our own anxiety,
Right.
but also improve the quality of our relationships with others.
It's like a ripple effect of positivity.
It is.
And what about purpose and meaning in life?
When we're bogged down by anxiety, it can be difficult to connect with our passions,
Yeah.
our values, and our sense of purpose.
It's like anxiety creates this fog
Yes.
that makes it hard to see
Exactly.
what truly matters.
But when we use these techniques to clear that fog,
Yeah.
we're able to see more clearly
Yeah.
what brings us joy,
Yeah.
what gives us a sense of fulfillment,
Mhm.
and what makes us feel truly alive.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
So it's not just about managing anxiety. It's
Yeah.
about creating a more fulfilling
Exactly.
and meaningful life.
It's about living a life
Yeah.
that's more aligned with our authentic selves.
Right.
Free from the limitations that anxiety can impose.
I love that. So as we wrap up this part of our conversation,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
What if, by consistently practicing these techniques,
Yeah.
we could not only manage our anxiety, but also unlock a greater sense of well-being,
Yeah.
connection, and purpose in our lives?
That's a beautiful and inspiring thought to consider.
Yeah.
And I believe it's absolutely within our reach.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And with that, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll wrap up our deep dive
Awesome.
with some final takeaways and a challenge for our listeners.
Ah.
Okay, so we're back
Yes.
and ready to wrap up our deep dive into managing anxiety.
I love it.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We explored those 3 powerful techniques:
Yes.
grounding, controlled breathing, and mindful visualization.
Powerful tools.
But what does it all mean for you?
You know, I think the key takeaway here
Yeah.
is that you have more control over your anxiety
Yeah.
than you might realize.
Yeah.
These techniques offer practical, accessible tools
Mm-hmm.
to help you navigate those stressful moments
Yeah.
and cultivate a greater sense of calm and resilience.
It's like we've given you a roadmap and a toolkit. It's like
Exactly.
your anxiety journey.
Yes.
Now it's up to you to take those tools and start using them.
That's right. And remember, it's a journey,
Yeah.
not a destination.
Right.
There will be times when you feel more anxious than others.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly normal.
Right.
The key is to be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Keep practicing these techniques
Mm-hmm.
and celebrate your progress along the way.
I love that. Celebrate your progress. It's so easy to get caught up
Yes.
in the negative self-talk
Oh, for sure.
when we're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so important to acknowledge
Yeah.
those small victories,
Yes.
those moments
Mm-hmm.
when we successfully use a technique to manage our stress.
Absolutely. Each time you choose to engage with these techniques,
Yeah.
instead of letting anxiety control you,
Mhm.
you're strengthening your resilience
Right.
and building a more peaceful inner world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
I want to leave you with a challenge. Pick one of the techniques that we discussed today and commit to practicing it daily for the next week.
I love it.
Notice how it makes you feel,
Yeah.
how it shifts your perspective,
Mhm.
and how it impacts your ability to handle stress.
You know, I think you'll be amazed
Yeah.
at the difference
Right.
even a small amount of daily practice can make.
Yeah.
It's like watering a seed.
Yeah.
With consistent care and attention,
Yeah.
it will eventually blossom into something beautiful and strong.
That's a beautiful image to end on.
It is.
So to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
embrace these techniques.
Yes.
Cultivate your inner peace, and never underestimate the power you have
You've got it.
to create a calmer,
Yeah.
more fulfilling life.
Absolutely. This has been wonderful.
This has been great. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
So until next time,
Yes.
stay curious and be well.
Yeah.